Hey everybody, how's it going? Currently sitting on the wrong side of the vehicle here. Got Adam Steele driving.
Hello.
And we are on our way to one of the most important places in the world for electric guitar tone. And no, we're not going to the Gibson factory, we're going to the Celestion factory. So yeah, you guys have been hearing me rant and rave about how the speaker's the most important thing in your guitar's tone. It's not the amp, it's not the tubes, not the tone wood. No. It's the fucking speaker. It's always been the fucking speaker. So we thought we'd have a cool idea and go to the place that's probably had the most impact on electric guitar tone over the last 50, 60 years or whatever, ever since Jim Marshall thought, hey, let's put these cheap speakers in my cabinets, that way guitar players can afford them. And that would be the Celestion company. So they make all kinds of stuff. They do, Adam was telling me what they do, like home stereo speakers. They do all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah, they do like PA system loudspeakers, but like the real high grade stuff.
But they're most famous for their guitar speakers. The Greenback, the Blackback, the Creamback, the Vintage 30, the T75, yay. Yeah, but chances are if there's a record that you own that you love the guitar sound on, there's a very, very, very high probability that it was recorded through a Celestion speaker. Let's go have a look, shall we? All right, everybody, we're in here at Celestion's test room here with Mr. John Paice. John, thanks so much for being on the show. Doing great. Always wanted to be here and whatnot. So I got no idea what the fuck we're gonna do. He just gave me the whole rundown. A little bit of background on the company though. So you guys originally started out doing speakers for hi-fi systems.
Speakers well, back in 1924, we produced a speaker for the old radio sets as they were then, and we went through, we were making speakers for TV as that came along, and then hi-fi and industrial applications right through until kind of the late 50s. And obviously the G12 was around at that time, and it got beefed up and put into a Vox AC30, and for guitar players, the rest is history.
Right, exactly. Now, this was the thing, the G-series speaker wasn't actually for guitar, it meant general, correct?
General purpose, yes, that's right.
Okay, great, fantastic. And that's the big misnomer, oh, it's G12, it's got to be guitar. No, general purpose. So this was meant to go in more than just guitar amps initially.
They were invented in, 1936 was the G12 originally, so they were used in radiograms, in old-fashioned radios, and in TV sets, in all sorts of different applications, and even through the 60s they were used for guitar, but also for PA, for sound reinforcement stuff.
Now in those early radio sets, those would have been just one speaker, so there was no tweeters, no crossovers, anything like that.
No, that was it.
So just the G12 is designed as a full range speaker then?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, wow, so learn something new every day. Now this thing, we've just been out on the shop floor, and hopefully we're gonna get a couple shots of this, a couple close-ups and whatnot. We're just looking at, some of the work going on and how the speaker fits together. And even I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, so that's how that works. Because, you're just used to seeing the little blobs on the outside. That's actually the wire going over the paper and back in and onto the voice coil and then connecting to the magnet itself.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, okay, great. Here I thought that always just kind of terminated on the paper. And I'm like, well, how's that work? It's like, okay, great. Learned something new today. I'm sure a bunch of you guys are going, well, duh. Well, I've never seen it. I've never seen a speaker disassembled like that because I've never blown one like that. So there you go.
You've never blown a speaker?
Once, but I didn't actually take it apart after the fact. It's just like, it's one of those things, fuck. Yeah, it's one of those deals, you know what I mean? Yeah. That happened after we hooked up my buddy's 59 Fender Pro, and I'm like, hey, you ever tried jumping the inputs before? No, what's that do? Check this out. And play it for 5 minutes. Wow, that sounds amazing. What's that smell? So yeah, did that. You guys have seen that Fender Pro on my tube test shootout video, by the way. That's a very cool hit. So you guys started out basically doing the Alnico blues for Vox, and then you came along and did a ceramic magnet because that was more affordable.
It was more affordable for sure because Alnico is made from aluminium, nickel, and cobalt, and some of those things are mined in some hard to reach places like Siberia, for example, or the Belgian Congo. And there was a big old war in the Congo in the 60s, and that kind of made Alnico difficult to get hold of and therefore a lot more expensive. So we were looking around for more practical alternatives, and ceramic was what we turned to, which is basically an iron-based magnet, which is most magnets are.
Okay.
And so after about 1962-63, we could kind of turn to making, you know, the G12M, the G12H, and they kind of took off as Marshall took off. You know, so we were kind of in sympathy with Marshall, as it were.
Okay, and then that's how you get the Greenback. And
Absolutely,
then, so
yeah.
what's the difference between the G12M and the H?
The M has a 35 ounce ceramic magnet. The H has a 50 ounce ceramic magnet.
Okay.
M for medium, H for heavy.
Oh, okay. Now you did send me a couple of G12Hs that I need to shoot out against the originals.
Sure.
And are you guys still actually making the G12M, or is it just strictly the EVH branded one now?
Oh no, we have a kind of a standard G12M Greenback. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You sent me a few of the new EVHs, and they're magnificent, by the way. Interestingly enough, they're 50 ohms, not 16 ohms. What's up with that?
Well, that's a very good question, and it's something that you talk about shooting yourself in the foot in some ways. But back in the day, speakers were 15 ohm. You know, and I think it's something to do with pre-transistors when you had valves, you know, tubes.
Okay.
And then at some point, it migrated to 16 ohm.
Okay.
So there's no effective difference between a 15 ohm and a 16 ohm speaker.
That's fair. I like that. Good. Thank you for debunking some stuff right there before it even gets out of hand. No, there's a huge difference. No, there's not. Stop that right now. Yes, I mean you.
If you want to talk about speaker impedance, though, what's on the back of the label is what we call the nominal impedance.
Okay.
So impedance varies by frequency.
Okay.
So as you play different frequencies through the speaker, the impedance of the speaker changes quite significantly. Okay. So kind of the nominal impedance is kind of like an average value for that particular type of coil. It's the voice coil that determines the nominal impedance.
Okay.
So whether it's 15, whether it's 16, the difference is so minuscule in terms of impact that it's the same thing.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So we're back on the subject, Greenback versus EVH. Is it just a branding thing, or is there a slight difference in the construction?
What we have as the Greenback now is something that has been made for decades.
Okay.
And it's kind of changed in small ways. You know, this supplier's gone bust, so we've gone to this supplier instead. We've had to streamline the production of this. So it's kind of the modern take on the original Greenback.
Okay.
The EVH speaker came from the work we did on our Heritage series, which was to take the tone back, as you know, and get some of the original sounding speakers, and then find some parts and manufacture in such a way that it sounded as close to the old speakers as we possibly could. You know?
Okay.
So the EVH kind of sounds like a 67 Greenback as much as we can make it.
Okay.
Whereas the current Greenback is a bit more modern sounding because we use slightly different adhesives and it's a slightly different voice coil, and there's kind of little tweaks and changes that just change the tone a little bit. Right. So you could say it's a little bit more modern sounding. It's certainly a bit more aggressive.
Okay. Whereas the EVHs, I absolutely love the sound of those things. They're absolutely great. We were also asking about the availability of the hemp bag because I had those come up on the show a few months back, and a lot of you guys really liked them.
Yeah, we're hoping to start manufacturing that in September. Yeah, it's been a long road to get that ready, but we're certainly ready to build it, and I'm aching to get it out the door because it's a great sounding speaker.
It really is. I've been very impressed, and it really blends great with an EVH as well.
Yeah.
Okay, just a couple more things I was going to mention. Yeah, we just walked around the shop floor here looking at things being assembled and whatnot. First and foremost, I'm very impressed with a lot of the finesse work going on with doing the gluing and the doping and that kind of stuff. You know, you got some very skilled workers out there who really obviously take pride in what they're doing. So that's really cool. The other thing was, you know, just even assembling the speakers, it's like you got to get the voice coil through the gap, and that's not easy. It doesn't look easy. That looks like it takes some serious practice to get that right and to be able to do it repeatable hundreds of times a day. So, you know, major props to the crew you got out there.
For sure.
And one more thing, and I didn't know this, the speakers don't actually get magnetized until after they're assembled.
That's right.
And it's like, oh, okay, that makes complete sense. But again, not
otherwise
seeing
it might be a little bit awkward, you know, when you
yeah, exactly. It's like I'm like
dragged off to one side or another.
Learn something new every day. Again, it seems obvious in retrospect, but if you've never seen a speaker being built, it's like, oh, okay, that's how it is. Okay, fabulous, great. Okay, so that is a very brief look at Celestion loudspeakers from Ipswich, England. Thank you so much, John, for being on the show.
Glenn.
Pleasure is mine. Seriously, been a huge fan of the brand forever. So cool to actually get to come here and see what you guys do. Anyway, of course, Celestion is available worldwide, everywhere. They're absolute freaking legends at what they do. I'll have some links for some of my favorite speakers in the description below. You can get them at Toman and at Sweetwater. Yes, they're affiliate links, so click them so I can afford to eat. Thanks again, John.
Cheers, man.
Take care, guys. We'll see you next time.
Teen lover of convenience stores.
Oh my God, it's Joe's Diner.